Hey friends, ever since we found out from the emails that Gypsy really was trying with TMZ to engineer a meeting with Taylor Swift, I've been curious to put together all of the information from back right around the time she got out that she was saying about Taylor Swift, because she's really tried to retcon the story and say, that, oh, it's just the media. Well, we know now that she told the media. But Becca Scoops did an awesome video about this very subject, and I'm going to put a link to that in the description for everybody. But I want to touch on a few other things, and I've gotten some help from Red Valentine and Swifty06, both on TikTok, with some information here. So let's get into it, y'all. Gypsy was released from prison December 28th, 2023, and by January 9th, 2024, she had released a small book with a very old photo called Released: Conversations on the Eve of Freedom. And there's some interesting tidbits there about her Taylor plans. She used the book as another opportunity to try to plant the seed in the public mind and maybe get to Taylor that she wanted to meet her. Now, one thing I do want to note real quick is that pretty much every Swiftie in the world wants to meet Taylor Swift and would do everything they could to engineer a meeting, but every Swiftie in the world is not a murderer like Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So there we are, and here we are. Gypsy really tries to set the stage here right away in this book. Not all of this is related to Taylor Swift, but I found it really interesting considering what we know now over a year later. So right off here, she says, "For the first time, I will be living as a free person in my own home with my husband, Ryan, beginning the morning of December 28, 2023. This life I'm about to lead is light years away from where I was when I was arrested and put in county jail, where I stayed for a year, still pining over Nick, who was in the same jail at the same time. I decided that the first thing I want to do with my freedom is write my story. Okay, well, it's not the first thing. I actually plan to embrace my family and then celebrate New Year's Eve at the Chiefs-Bengals game. Priorities, right? Y'all, I did live in Missouri after all, but I swear, after Mahomes finishes the job, I will be focused on finding my words so I can share with you my story, the real story, the whole story. Writing a memoir wasn't my idea, it was y'all's. So many of you have written to me over the years. I've read every letter, even the ones that were not so nice. There were questions and concerns and curiosities about holes in the public story, and many of the letters were little confessions of their own. Young girls reaching out after the act on Hulu aired, sharing stories of struggles and ABUSC of their own. My memoir is going to happen because of people like you who have wondered about the truth." Knowing what we know now about the emails, I get legit creeped out whenever she talks about people writing her. And whenever she talks about people sending her their stories of trouble, struggles, and ABUSC, we can all see from reading the emails that she didn't reply to most of those. She did to a few, but most of them she didn't reply to. Her main replies were to men and people that she could get to send her $50. Now, I have notes here from Gypsy's Instagram posts during the same month and some of her other social media activity regarding Taylor. And this is in January 2024, right after she was released and right in the same month when her book came out. The start of this next page annoys me so bad because she starts out like this. "At first, becoming a public figure overnight after the act aired brought unwelcome attention that was profoundly confusing and crazy-making. I had no frame of reference or context for what led the general viewing public to form their opinions. I was not consulted or compensated in any way for the series or other various shows, articles, or podcasts about my life. It's been fairly quiet for a while now as my release date approaches, so I've gotten a head start on thinking about what I'd like to say and the best way to see it." Nothing but lies, straight out of prison. We know from the emails that she was not at all surprised about becoming a public figure overnight. She was watching her social media accounts constantly. She would email all the time the numbers that Rachel Garlick's TikToks about her and stuff got, and before that with different people. She would have Ken checking up on it and things like that. It was weird. So her whole little, "I was so surprised, I wasn't expecting that," it's absolute bullshit. And then she turns around and says she wasn't consulted or compensated in any way for the act. We know from the emails that she got a trust fund from the act. It was $50,000 as soon as she got out. That wasn't done whenever the act was first created, but a producer reached out to her later, set up the trust funds. We revealed that in the emails. She just lies, y'all. Lies. Okay, now again, this next part isn't related to the Taylor Swift stuff, but I found this an interesting nugget considering what all's been coming out lately. Gypsy says, writing a book is damn hard. A massive production, really. I needed help. Melissa Moore, who has become such a close friend to me over the years, spent hours on the phone talking with me about so many elements of my life. I mean, it was therapy and girls' night and creative flow all at the same time. Here's the interesting part. I have transcripts galore of our phone calls over the years, unpacking how I grew up and basically came of age while in prison. These transcripts are what I am leaning on heavily to write my memoir. Okay, I'm actually going to do a whole separate video just about this, but if she has transcripts of her phone calls with Melissa Moore, I would think she would be able to have or get transcripts of her phone calls with Ryan. And since her and Ken are saying release the phone calls to prove what she said in that email is right about Ryan, well, it would seem that she should be able to do that herself. Wouldn't y'all think? Does anyone who knows how, that this sort of thing works from a prison perspective? Let me know in the comments if I'm on the right track there. This next part is annoying again, and I did a video about this last year actually whenever I was reviewing this book, but oh my god, y'all, listen to this. Gypsy says, I don't know if any of y'all have kept a diary, but if you have and you've read from a while ago, you'll know that sometimes reading back your thoughts, especially from a younger age, can be cringy, but it's that cringe that gets you to the good. I feel like if you recognize it as cringe, it's a pretty strong indication you're healing or growing or both. Let's just say, I've cringed as hard as the summer rain in the deep south. What does that even mean, y'all? I've been in the midst of a lot of summer rains in the deep south, and they don't cringe. They come in like hurricanes. They come in as tropical storms. They don't cringe. What is she even talking about? However, the talk about cringe, I think, also reveals something to us about why Gypsy hasn't really been able to be humiliated off the internet, although she is temporarily on private accounts, so they say. I'm sure she'll be back, although that would be great if she wasn't. Stay gone. Stay gone. We don't need your content. It's fine. But also, I think Gypsy getting used to being in the public eye and ridiculous outfits from a young age right up to adulthood actually kind of inoculated her to cringe, and the way that she handles it now is by expressing everything that she's done that any normal person would be embarrassed that's the past, and I've grown beyond that. Oh yes, you need to cringe. Cringing is part of growth. It's the cringe that gets you to the good. That's what she said in her book. So yeah, for somehow pointing out her cringe doesn't really affect her, but I do believe it affects the people who could be swayed and grifted by her again. And that's why I personally think it's important to continue calling out the cringe. What do y'all think? Now, this next page here feels to me now like maybe she was trying to dog whistle or send out a signal to her prison pay pigs, because she says, I figure maybe I'll continue to get letters from strangers welcoming me home, wondering how I'm doing, asking what I think about my time in prison and how I've reconciled with my past. So maybe I can at least have something short and sweet for y'all. So consider this ebook to be partly a cheat until the memoir is published, a part inside scoop on my private conversations with Melissa and then Michelle. Well, private-ish, since Chillicothe Correctional Center had the right to listen in and record them. Yes, we know. We'll see if those can be FOIA'd. I know the request has been put out there to see if it's possible. I don't know if it is or not, but kind of curious, y'all. Gypsy tries so hard to be poetic. Like, she wants to be a tortured poet so bad, y'all. But anyway, continuing on, she's like, other times, I'll let my private photographs speak 1,000 words. And to give you a taste of prison life, I will share personal prison paraphernalia and doodling I've done over the years as I've processed what life had once been like for me and what I hope to do with my life moving forward. And then we get to the Taylor mention. Gypsy says, I'd like to think of this endeavor as a rewrite of a misinformed story you've been told, like the Taylor's version recordings. I'm no Taylor Swift, but if this ebook were an album, I'd title it Gypsy's Version, the only version that should be told, raw, revealing, and in rhythm with the real me. Y'all, Taylor's version is barely distinguishable usually from the original versions because her original versions, the versions that everyone knew and loved, were real and good. The versions that everyone knew about Gypsy have all been lies, and they continue to be. As we continue researching, we continue finding more lies. The more Gypsy talks in public, the more she lies more and has more lies to even uncover. Like, there would be less lies to uncover if she shut up. So now that we've seen what Gypsy said about Taylor in her book, and we've kind of recapped what she was posting on social media in the month of January when the book came out, let's take a look at what she said in her immediate interviews after that.
The music that inspired you while you were serving your time in prison.
So I am a Taylor Swift fan. Her music is incredible. One of the songs that I felt really resonated with me was Eyes Open, because it's about, standing your ground, making sure that you are prioritizing yourself, make sure no one bullies you.
And this was one of Gypsy's early interviews after coming out, and she's immediately bringing up Taylor Swift. And as we know from her emails with TMZ and with other people about these interviews, she is able usually to know what the questions are ahead of time and either decline or request certain questions. So we can totally tell from the TMZ emails and speculate that she probably asked them to bring up Taylor Swift. That's just my speculation. What do y'all think? Am I reaching or am I right?
Hear that you are a Swiftie. Are you listening to the new album?
I am. My favorite song off the new album is Down Bad. I think it's super catchy.
Yes, that's a great one. Are you going to try to catch her tour at any point?
I would love to. The tickets are kind of expensive, but I might get a wild hair and buy a ticket.
Okay, again, if I'm reaching, let me know in the comments, y'all. But every time she says something, oh, that's expensive. Oh, it might be expensive. Oh, that's very expensive. No matter what her tone is, I feel like a potential grift is happening. Like she's opening somebody out there somewhere is desperate for her infamous matriciding attention and will try and send her what she wants. And apparently she gets that. She gets that, y'all. Check out the video Cutting Board Dawn just posted about why that might be. It's very interesting.
But Taylor Swift was a huge inspiration to you while you were in prison. What about her inspired you?
I love her music. I mean, I don't think that there's many people that don't love her music. She's hitting the top charts right now. But I think that she is an inspiration to women. She's all about girl power, which is great. So I like her music, and I think that she's a great artist.
Do you have a favorite song or era of hers?
I am loving her Midnights era right now. I'm loving it. Karma has been like my number one on my playlist.
Have you seen the Eras tour? Maybe?
I haven't yet. I want to, though.
Plan to go maybe to see the concert, actually?
Yeah, at some point I plan to go.
Wonderful.
I'd like to anyway.
So she said she's definitely planning on it, or she'd like to anyway, if the tickets are just so expensive, but she might go ahead. Around the same time, she was posting on TikTok comments, manifesting a Taylor meetup. I just know she'd see the real me. She writes about pain. I lived it. Taylor, call me. And like I said earlier in the video, because she has privated her accounts right now and I didn't already have the screenshots ahead of time before she did that, I'm going by the notes here. No one's obligated to believe and trust the notes, but if you've seen previous screenshots or been following it, you'll probably remember these things.
After her release, she was set on attending the Kansas City Chiefs game this past weekend, but that did not happen. Apparently, she was told to get out of Missouri because her presence would bring a security risk to the Kansas City area. She had already purchased Chiefs tickets weeks in advance prior to her release, but it did not get to happen for her.
What's funny is that we also know now from the emails that Christy even told Gypsy, "What are you doing wanting to stay in Missouri and go to Kansas City and go to this Chiefs game? You need to come straight home to Louisiana when you get out of that prison." Rod tried to tell her, trying to meet Taylor Swift, like, this is the kind of stuff your mom used to do. And they all thought it was a bad idea. They all knew it was a bad idea. But of course, Gypsy listens to nobody and went ahead with her plans. And then Missouri was like, "What the hell you think you're doing? Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out the state now." Y'all, Missouri wants nothing to do with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I know I say it all the time, but they do not. Now, all of this happened really fast. We're still in January, and Gypsy Rose goes on the Vial Files podcast on January 8, 2024. We're slightly out of order here because the book was actually published January 9th. So these two things right together. It's kind of funny that she says this on the Vial File podcast on January 8th, and then her book comes out the next day, which we just reviewed in the beginning of the video, and it completely contradicts what they say here. Let's take a listen, y'all.
Partly it was because of my safety, because I think that they were aware of how big this was going to get before it even happened. So they're like, get her back to no.
So Gypsy's saying there that she thinks that the Kansas City Chiefs, police, whatever, wanted her not to go to the game partly because of her safety, because they understood how big this was going to get. And Ryan Gypsy's like, well, I don't believe it, because he thinks it's Taylor Swift's fault. And I think maybe Gypsy just didn't want to say that. But anyway, let's listen some more, y'all.
I mean, news got out that we were going to a Chiefs-Bengals game.
I can't help it, y'all. He's so hilarious. News got out that we were going to a Chiefs-Bengals game. Gypsy Rose emailed TMZ and told them.
Yes, it did. And you know the rest, right? Yeah. Can you picture what I'm saying? Chiefs-Bengals game? Who's?
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
I didn't say it.
All right, well, I will. So he thinks that Taylor Swift is people, not her herself, wanted to protect her, because here's the situation. I just want to clarify for a second.
That's right. Tell the story.
Ryan sounds so dumb, especially knowing what all we know now, y'all. Not even just about the Taylor Swift situation, about everything else. He's sitting there like, yeah, tell the story, baby. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm going to tell the story.
Let's let him have it.
I just
Clear the air.
Taylor probably will hear this.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Also, I usually don't pick on stuff like this, but Gypsy has shamed other women so much for so many random things. I've just got to say, why the hell is she sitting like that, y'all?
She's a big fan.
I am. So
we are too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about 6 months before I got out of prison, Ryan and I were looking at fun things to do in Kansas City.
Absolutely.
And so he saw that there was going to be a Chiefs-Bengals game, and he's a Bengals fan. He's a Joe Burrow fan.
Joe Burrow fan. I mean, LSU.
Huh?
Who's your team?
Who's my team? The Saints,
Okay.
the New Orleans Saints.
Who dat?
That's my home team. So anyway, I said, okay, that would be so cool. Let's buy tickets, because that would be so much fun to do on New Year's Eve. So we bought our tickets, and then 3 months or so later, I find out that Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce.
I'd have to go back and verify, but I'm pretty sure from the emails she already knew that before the tickets.
And so I'm like, that would be so cool if she was at the game and I got to meet her.
Just happened to run into her.
That'd be cool.
Ryan's sitting there either defending his little matricider so hardcore, knowing that she emailed TMZ, or ignorantly not knowing she emailed TMZ, thinking that she tells him everything. Either way, so dumb. And yeah, she's just such a liar.
To find her.
It was so nonchalant. It was just like, that would be cool.
Bullshit. She told TMZ she planned to shout her out, trying to manifest a meeting. She wanted TMZ to put it in the article. Yeah, so much proof that all this is lies, but it doesn't matter because Gypsy's not ashamed when she lies. She doesn't give a shit. Anytime she tells a lie, that lie's immediately in the past. Now it's now, and past doesn't matter. Good God, y'all.
Because she's my favorite singer. And then TMZ got a hold of the story.
Oh my God, y'all, how did TMZ get a hold of this story?
Mm-hmm.
But also TMZ, not to, say anything bad about TMZ, called me a felon.
Gypsy is so delusional. I think she really thought because the TMZ reporter, who I assume is Charlie Neff, was emailing her. Couldn't tell, the name was blanked out, but I'm pretty sure it's Charlie Neff. She was being super, super sweet and complimentary and just really fluffing Gypsy up in those emails. Like, hey, beautiful, blah, 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 this and that. Love you so much. And I guess Gypsy thought that they actually would not accurately describe her as a felonious matricider in their story. She's shocked, y'all, just shocked.
So, I mean, in the article,
Like famous murderers looking for Taylor Swift.
something like that.
That's
So,
her first thing she wants to do.
in
Push out
the
of jail.
comments,
Ryan, that literally is the first thing she wanted to do when she got out of jail, as you said, actually prison. Before she wants to go to your house, go home with you, anything, she wanted to go to Kansas City and try to meet Taylor Swift. There are no lies being told there, other than out of you and the little matricider's mouth.
the comments were like, oh my God, Taylor Swift is in danger. This murderer is going to come after her.
A murderer was obsessively trying to meet Taylor Swift. And like I said before, y'all, I understand that almost all Taylor Swift fans want to meet her and would do anything to try and engineer that. And if they had the means to be emailing TMZ and setting up a meeting, they would. But again, most Taylor Swift fans are not murderers like Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And Gypsy shows a level of obsessive thinking in her emails and with her relationships to where I believe that if Taylor got inkling of this, she probably would have had her team try and do something to make sure that a little matriciditing felon murderer would not be within her vicinity. That's my opinion.
And it became this
got
big
blown
thing.
way out of proportion.
It got blown out of proportion. I'm not a stalker.
So you weren't in any way trying to do like a forced meet?
No.
Yes, you were.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I was just like, that would have been cool if we would have ran into her. It is what it
Honestly,
is.
there's other girls that go to Kansas City Chiefs games hoping that they run into Taylor. I mean,
Yeah, Ryan, most of those girls at the Kansas City Chiefs games hoping to meet Taylor are actual average bears, not your little infamous, felonious, matriciding murderer.
People who are more
cameras point to her during the game.
Exactly.
So it's not
There's
like
emphasis on
she's
it.
more at danger from her fans.
Y'all, I gotta say, this Vile Files, the Gypsy Rose episodes were the first, last, and only episodes of their podcast I ever watched because it is really gross to see someone just sit there and kiss a murderer's ass like that. Like, it is gross. They're trying to act like she's so freaking normal and not a danger to anyone. She's a murderer, y'all. What the hell?
Right. Is from Gypsy.
And then when we found out we had to leave, my first thought was, God, we had so much fun stuff planned.
Yeah, they had a lot of stuff planned, and they were totally going to film at the Kansas City Chiefs game, too, with a film crew hoping to attract Taylor Swift. That's in the emails as well, y'all. And I've also been working on a video just of all of Gypsy just waxing poetic about Kansas City. At one point, she wanted Ken to move to Kansas City so she could home plan there. She has a little obsession with Kansas City, y'all.
Taylor Swift thing. I got a notice on my phone. It was like a fraud notice. Gypsy tried to buy 2 Taylor Swift tickets with our money and spend like 12 grand on tickets. And thank God my phone caught it. You know, she was like, it's my money, I can spend it. Yeah, it is your money, but she couldn't do that, and that was her thing. And she tried to do that, and Gypsy, that's the only story I'll tell.
Oh, good Lord, Gypsy, that's the only story I'll tell. Well, that wasn't true, but it was pathetic. In March of 2024, Gypsy went on the Call Her Daddy podcast and once again put out a little siren signal. She said, Taylor literally saved my life. Her lyrics were like my therapy. I used to imagine we were friends. Like in my mind, we talked. I know that sounds crazy, but she was there for me in a way when no one else was.
Good morning, everybody. So today is the second day of the Eras Tour in New Orleans, and unfortunately I can't make it, but that isn't stopping me from wearing Taylor Swift inspired attire and jewelry. So I'm gonna kind of do an outfit of the day for you guys.
Then in April 2024, a site called Dumois, which posts what is known as blind items or anonymous tips, said a recently released figure from a high-profile crime case has been trying to contact Taylor Swift directly through reps, mutual friends, and publicists. Multiple gifts have been sent, and fans speculated it was Gypsy due to the context and timing. Now, this next part regards unconfirmed reports from a Reddit thread, and before reading Gypsy's emails, I probably wouldn't have paid any attention to this, but now I'm not so sure about what this didn't happen. So, it was reported on Reddit on a pop culture chat subreddit that multiple fans alleged that Gypsy showed up to a Louisiana Taylor Swift themed party uninvited and tried to network her way into Taylor's inner circle. It was said that she has been known to have said that she sent a handwritten letter to Taylor Swift's management team expressing a desire to meet, and that she tried DMing members of Taylor's squad, a backup dancer and a stylist, on Instagram. Again, this is unconfirmed, but it sounds like par for the course for Gypsy. What do y'all think? Do you think it's real? Then in May of 2024, there was a viral Twitter X thread, where a Swiftie made a thread titled, "Why Gypsy Rose's Taylor Obsession is Creepy AF." She had screenshots and a lot of posts and quotes about the alleged attempts to contact Taylor, and I couldn't find it right now, y'all, to add those screenshots. But the post got a lot of tractions, thousands of likes and reposts, and people started talking about how Taylor is likely uncomfortable or feels unsafe. And then rumors started to come up that Taylor Swift's team might have blocked Gypsy on social media or request that she stop tagging and contacting them. And now, although these rumors are not officially confirmed, Gypsy has barely mentioned Taylor Swift since around May of last year. Now, as we saw in Red's last note there that Gypsy stopped mentioning Taylor in May, I think it may actually have been due to this TMZ article if a cease and desist or a blocking did happen. Because in May, Gypsy, in my opinion, contacted TMZ because we've got yet another TMZ article with insights from a source close to Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and we know from the prison emails where those usually are. That's Gypsy herself telling them what she wants to say. It says, sources connected to Gypsy tell TMZ GRB thinks Taylor's new song, Fresh Out of the Slammer, from her Tortured Poets Department album, might be about her December release from prison. The reason she even suspects that, we're told, is Gypsy sees a lot of similarities between the song lyrics and her real life, almost to a T. For those unfamiliar, Fresh Out of the Slammer is a song about a woman getting out of prison and taking off with her lover. Remember, Gypsy moved in with her now estranged husband, Ryan Anderson, after she was released from prison. This isn't the only similarity Gypsy spots between the song and her life. By the way, we're told the TV personality relates to the line, "Cameras flashes, welcome bashes," since paparazzi have been following her since her release and her family through her welcome home bash. Yeah, they were following because she was emailing with TMZ, telling them where she was. And then it says, we should also note, Gypsy ain't alone here. Fans have noticed the similarities, with one Swiftie even declaring on X that Tay wrote the anthem for Gypsy. Oh, you know, Gypsy sought out every supportive comment and sent it to TMZ. Then it says, despite the viral theory, sources, we know the sources are Gypsy, tell us that she has not heard from Taylor at all, even being the huge Swiftie she is. Don't forget, shortly after leaving prison, Gypsy purchased Kansas City Chiefs tickets in the hopes of running into the Grammy winner. Hear that? In the hopes of running into the Grammy winner. Sadly, she wasn't able to go because a parole officer instructed her to return to her home state of Louisiana after her release. Then there's an Instagram link to something Gypsy posted, which is gone because of her privated Instagram. And it says, still, we're told Gypsy isn't bothered by the lack of contact, as she knows she's a controversial public figure and can understand why the pop star wouldn't reach out. Everyone will get a chance to catch up more on Gypsy's life in the next season. So what do y'all think about that? That seems to me like that was probably the thing that caused the blocking or the leave us alone message, if those things happen. But like Red said, I'm pretty sure May was our last Gypsy Taylor mention.
A man does something, it's strategic. A woman does the same thing, it's calculated. A man is allowed to react, a woman can only overreact.
And you've had these labels thrown at you.
Oh yeah, it goes on and on and on.
Okay, let's watch Gypsy try and use Taylor's stance on sexism to explain why she wasn't actually mad that Ryan, her husband, was slapping some girl's ass. She was upset about society. Guys, it was society.
But what I am disappointed in is society. So it was not even Ryan's video that kind of like made me frustrated. It was society's view of the situation. So, and I understand that sexism and favoritism towards men has been a thing for as like long as can be.
I can never show the clip of her saying that without breaking in and saying that the disabled man that she convinced to do her crime for her is in prison for life while she got a baby sentence and she's out being an influencer hanging with Kardashians. Okay, moving on.
Okay. So I just don't see how when a man does something, then it's praised. But when a woman does something, she gets slandered and like slammed for it.
Now, to wrap it all up here, Red provided me with a nice summary that I totally agree with. Her summary of key points here is that Gypsy Rose repeatedly and publicly expressed deep obsession with Taylor Swift post-release. And from the emails, we know that she did pre-release too, and was conspiring with a big organization like TMZ that actually has the connections to try and meet Taylor. And we also know from the emails that she had gotten permission for the Lifetime film crew to film at the Chiefs game and upgrade them to box seats to try and get attention from Taylor Swift. So her comments moved from admiration to delusional familiarity, possibly boundary crossing. And yeah, whenever she's sitting there saying like, I feel like I've talked to her, in my mind I've talked to her, I just know she would understand me. Yes, I get that a lot of Taylor Swift fans feel that way. Again, they're not obsessive, delusional, infamous, felonious, matriciding murderers. So it's not the same to me. We have allegations made by individuals on Reddit and from larger organization of blind items and gossip like Dumois that Gypsy has tagged and DM'd Taylor's team, that she's sent gifts and letters, that she's attempted to infiltrate social circles, and now public perception has largely turned negative regarding this fixation. And I feel like the more comes out with Gypsy's emails, the more negative this looks. Because as of last year, this could all have been considered a normal Swiftie, aside from the fact that Gypsy was just released from prison for murder. But we know a lot more about her obsessive behaviors now and the way that she goes about things in her lives than we did before. So I find it more alarming than before. And then we also have unconfirmed reports of a block and or cease and desist style letter from Swift's camp. Again, like I said, unconfirmed reports, but it would make sense because Gypsy went from 100 to 0 when it comes to mentioning Taylor Swift. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. There are more emails that I intended to include, but I gotta be honest with y'all, I am sick of digging through that email document at the moment. So I will come back to that probably later at another time. But for now, here's our little palette cleanser of flowers and cats. And I hope y'all have a good day. Enjoy your day, friends.